child is born in North Korea. But from the very moment of birth, this innocent soul is branded a traitor. North Korea is known across the globe for having some of the most extreme laws ever enforced by any nation, laws so unbelievable they sound like fiction. Imagine this. The country holds elections, but you're allowed to vote for only one person. If you don't cast your vote for him, you go straight to prison. There is only one television channel available and no option to change it. Tuning into anything else? Impossible. North Korea might be the only country in the world where you're not jailed for committing a crime, but for simply thinking one. Let's rewind to the year 1945. For 35 long years, Japan ruled over the entire Korean peninsula. But after the end of the Second World War, Korea was split into two, North Korea and South Korea. The North fell under Soviet influence, while the South came under the guidance of the United States. In the year 1948, Kim Il-sung of the Kim dynasty was appointed the supreme leader of North Korea, and thus began the so-called Democratic People's Republic of Korea, a nation where democracy was never even allowed to breathe. This conflict came to be known as the Korean War, but even after the war ended, no peace treaty was ever signed. That's why, to this day, both countries are technically still at war. In North Korea, to preserve absolute power, the country has only ever been ruled by a single family. First came Kim Il-sung, then his son, Kim Jong-il, and now his grandson, Kim Jong-un. Each ruler has imposed increasingly strict laws to maintain their grip on the throne. Fear and punishment are used as tools to suppress the people. Harsh rules were created to ensure that citizens don't get influenced by South Korea or Western culture and turn against their leaders. Today, we will explore some of the most bizarre laws still in effect. Let's begin. In the year 2024, North Korea banned the use of sunglasses and even imposed restrictions on wedding dresses. In metro stations and other public places, you won't hear music. Instead, only speeches from the Kim family are played. During these speeches, no one is allowed to talk, whisper, or make any noise at all. If someone is caught watching South Korean dramas or Hollywood films, they could be sent to a labor camp, or worse, face brutal punishment. These extreme measures are taken to stop what the regime calls ideological contamination, the spread of foreign ideas that could challenge their rule. People in North Korea are not allowed to access the real internet. Instead, they are given access to a closed intranet system that operates only within the country. Even that is heavily monitored by the state. Authorities closely track what people watch, read, and say online. This is how the government controls the flow of information, shielding its people from the outside world. Making a phone call to someone outside North Korea without state permission is illegal. If you need to contact anyone abroad, you must grant permission for this. Getting permission from the government is mandatory for almost everything. In North Korea, television, radio, and newspapers are entirely controlled by the state. The idea of private media is simply unimaginable. This state-run media does not report news as we know it. Instead, it only broadcasts praise for the government, glorification of the Kim dynasty, and propaganda against foreign enemies like the United States. From a young age, North Korean children are filled with hatred toward America and its allies. Even hairstyles are regulated. The government has approved only a handful of specific styles. Citizens are told exactly what kind of haircuts they are allowed to get. Anything that reflects outside cultural influence is banned. That includes wearing jeans, dyeing hair, or wearing flashy clothing. If anyone violates these rules, their items are confiscated and they are punished. And it doesn't stop there. Even food choices are controlled. For example, hot dogs are banned because they are considered part of American culture. Dishes like jjajangmyeon and tteokbokki, which are common in South Korea, are also forbidden. To travel from one city to another, you need a special permit. Without it, travel is considered illegal. North Korean passports are only given to the elite class, such as government officials and close allies of Kim Jong-un. For the average citizen, the idea of ever leaving North Korea is nothing more than a dream. Whether it's land, homes, shops, or businesses, everything is owned by the state. No individual can claim ownership of anything. They may only use property as long as the government permits it. Even practicing religion is illegal. People are not allowed to follow or practice any faith of their own choosing. And although churches do exist in North Korea, but those churches exist only for show, to convince the outside world that North Korea allows religious freedom. In truth, anyone who attempts to practice religion is sent straight to labor camps. If anyone dares to speak against the regime or raise their voice against the Kim dynasty, not only that person, but their entire family is imprisoned. This punishment can last for up to 3 generations. That means if someone is declared a traitor, and decades later their grandchild is born, even that innocent child will be labeled a traitor. This policy exists to ensure that the bloodline of rebellion is completely erased and no one in the future can rise against the Kim family. Each colony, apartment block, and neighborhood is surrounded by government spies, ordinary-looking people who secretly keep a close watch on everyone. And perhaps the strangest rule of all, in North Korea, you don't just get punished for committing a crime, you can be arrested simply for thinking about one. If a person even considers doing something against the government, and that thought is reported, they could end up in jail. It's like striking your own foot with an axe. From birth to death, every citizen must participate in weekly self-criticism sessions. In these gatherings, people publicly confess their supposed mistakes, like hiding someone's weakness from the government, or not praising Kim Jong-un enough, or feeling impressed by a foreign product. After the confession, others in the room criticize them harshly. It's a system designed to crush individuality and enforce conformity. Voting is also mandatory in North Korea, but here's the twist. People can only vote for the candidate chosen by the government. There are no elections where the public chooses its leaders. There's only one candidate, and not voting is considered treason. So why even hold elections? In truth, elections are not about choosing a leader, they are loyalty tests. When 100% of citizens vote for the same candidate, the regime treats it as proof of unity and strength. There is a national assembly too, called the Supreme People's Assembly. But its job is not to debate or make decisions. Its only purpose is to stamp approval on whatever Kim Jong-un has already decided. Every North Korean citizen is expected to memorize the 10 ideological principles of the state. If someone stumbles while reciting them, they are declared a traitor. Each of those 10 points glorifies Kim Il-sung, the founder of the regime. Every television set in the country is preset to government-run channels like Korean Central Television. People cannot change the channel even if they want to. Even bicycles must have registration numbers and license plates, and to ride one, you must pass a road safety test and get a license. Clothing with foreign logos, slogans, or flags is strictly forbidden. The government views such items as cultural contamination and demands that citizens adopt only North Korean identity. And it's not just for locals. Tourists must follow strict laws too. Every tourist is assigned a government-approved guide and can only visit locations sanctioned by the state. They are not allowed to interact with local citizens, take casual photos, or explore freely. If a tourist wants to interview a North Korean, they must first get permission from their guide. But even though mobile phones and computers are technically allowed in North Korea, USB drives and memory cards are regularly checked by authorities. If someone is caught with foreign content, anything from movies to news reports, they can face serious punishment. North Korea also enforces a deeply inhumane system to classify its citizens, known as Songbun. This caste-like system determines a person's entire future from the moment they are born, and it's not based on talent or ambition, It's based on family history. There are 3 main classes in this system: core, wavering, and hostile. The core class includes people whose ancestors fought alongside Kim Il-sung during the revolution, or who served in the Korean War. They are considered the most loyal to the regime. Members of this elite class receive the best opportunities: high-ranking government jobs, positions in the military, permission to live in the capital city, Pyongyang, and even the right to own cars, something forbidden to most citizens. The wavering class, also known as the uncertain or neutral class, includes ordinary citizens, those whose ancestors were farmers, laborers, or had no particularly strong or negative political history. People in this group are allowed to access some middle-class facilities, but they are constantly watched. They are not fully trusted. And then there is the third category, the hostile class, also referred to as Joktae Giching. This group includes people whose ancestors were known to follow any religion, or those who had any kind of personal or family connection to someone in South Korea. The North Korean government views them as traitors, and they are given the lowest possible status in society. They are assigned the worst jobs, like working in dangerous coal mines, doing hard labor, or being responsible for sanitation and cleaning. These are the people who are punished not for what they did, but for who their family was. Moving on, in North Korea, even basic resources like electricity, water, and gas are distributed through a strict rationing system, and their consumption is closely monitored. From the age of 17, every North Korean citizen, regardless of gender, is required to serve in the military for up to 10 years. It is not a choice, but a mandate. On the death anniversaries of Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il, crying in public is not just expected, it is compulsory. Anyone who fails to show visible sorrow may have their loyalty questioned. Inside every home, portraits of Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il are mandatory. These portraits must be regularly cleaned, and failing to do so can be seen as a sign of disrespect to the regime. To instill ideological loyalty, even school children are required to memorize speeches given by Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il. North Korea is so isolated from the rest of the world that even its calendar is different. They follow what's known as the Juche calendar, which begins from the year 1912, the birth year of their supreme leader, Kim Il-sung. So while the rest of the world considers the current year to be 2025, in North Korea, it is considered the year 113. There are many reasons why North Korea remains so deeply cut off from the rest of the world. First, the Kim regime fears that if people ever learned the truth about the outside world, they would begin to question the system and possibly rise against the government. That's why media, international travel, and internet access are completely banned. The regime doesn't want its citizens to even imagine a life beyond its borders. Second, the country's nuclear weapons program has led to severe international sanctions, isolating North Korea even further. The rest of the world pushed away, and the regime pulled itself in. Now, it's important to note, some of these rules may have changed or even become more extreme, but we don't know for sure because updated, accurate information is nearly impossible to obtain. Everything we do know comes from a handful of people who were either able to escape the country after the year 1953, or from rare video footage secretly recorded by North Koreans and smuggled out, often hidden inside USB drives sent through China. We hope you liked this video. If you found this informative, don't forget to like and share. And as always, we're grateful for your kind and thoughtful comments. We'll see you again in the next powerful story.